Welcome, sixth graders. This is your Skimmer drawing and the measurements that you can see throughout each of the parts that you're going to be drawing here. So this video is going to go over how to do each of this. In the end, when you follow along, you're going to have a sheet that looks like this. A full sheet of paper, all the pieces are measured, and you can see there's dotted lines for the parts that you're going to fold rather than cut. Same thing down here. And then once we have this layout, you will be able to cut it together to make your skimmer. So the first thing we're going to look at is this main body panel. Looking at this, you can see a bunch of the measurements. What I like to start with is looking the entire thickness is 4 inches. So I'm going to draw this bottom line going across 4 inches all the way down. So I get my ruler. I'm going to line up 4 inches on one side, just make a little mark. And since I want to make sure it's straight all the way across, I'm going to mark 4 inches on the other side. So now that I have a mark on each side that's 4 inches wide here, 4 inches wide here, I can draw my line going all the way across. And this is going to be a solid line because it's something that we are going to cut. So the next thing that I'm going to look at is these dotted lines here and here. And you'll notice right there, it says it is 1/2 inch thick. So I'm going to make a mark here, and on the other side that's 1/2 inch thick, so I can draw my line going all the way down. I'll do the same thing at the bottom. So 1/2 inch thick, 1/2 inch thick, and then draw that line going across. So when I look at my ruler, 8 tick marks in, and from there I'm going to make my mark, line up the edge of the paper, make my mark 1/2 inch in, do the same thing on the other side, count to my 1/2 inch mark right there. And so now, if you look at the layout, the first 3 inches is a solid line, and then after that is a dotted line. So I'm going to connect this here where it's going to be 1/2 inch thick all the way down. And so the first 3 inches is a solid line. And then after the 3 inch mark, I'm going to make a dotted line going across. So then you can see 3 inches of solid, dotted line across, the whole thing is 1/2 inch thick. So I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom, measure 1/2 inch up, make a little mark, and so 1/2 inch is 8/16. I do the same thing on the other side, 1/2 inch, make my mark, and now I can connect these lines. The first 3 inches is going to be solid. And now from here I can do a dotted line going across. Alright, so next, looking at my layout, the only thing I have left for this main body panel is you can see there is this dotted line going down, and this is 3 inches in. So I'm going to measure 3 inches in on the top, 3 inches in on the bottom, so that I know it's going to be straight going all the way down. So we're going to measure 3 inches. I'm going to just make a little mark right there. And 3 inches, make a little mark. And so now I can see this line here, it is a dotted line, so going down 1, and here is my main body panel. So it should match up just like you see from the measurements here. And now we're going to move on to the fins. So there's 2 of them here, they're connected right there. And so looking at the fins, you're going to see the bottom edge is 3 inches wide for the first one, 3 inches wide for the second one. So I'm going to just make marks of where that 3-inch mark is, and then where the next 3-inch mark is. So we'll do that first, all the way to the very bottom edge of your piece of paper. So I line I line up the edge of my paper with the edge of the ruler, and then I go to the 3-inch mark right here. And I'm just going to make a mark. That's where the bottom part of the fin is going to be. And then I'm going to count 3 more inches. 1, 2, 3. And so this is going to be fin number 1. This is going to be fin number 2. And when I look back at the measurements, I can see right here, there is a measurement there that says it is 1/2 of an inch thick. So from here to there, it's 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to take my ruler, and at that first mark right there, I'm going to measure 1/2 of an inch, so 8/16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these are all solid lines. Draw my line down. You can see it there. And then at the other line over here where the fin is, you can see the height going up here and here is 3 inches. So I'm going to draw my line over here that's 3 inches in height. Alright, so I got this lined up. I find the 3-inch mark, so from here to the 0 mark, I'm going to draw my solid line using my straight edge. And you can see I have the outside part of my fin. Next, I'm going to make the markings of the thickness right there. So you'll see the top part of the fin has an inch, 1/2 of an inch thickness there. I'm going to draw that in 1/2 of an inch. So, if we look, I've turned the paper around, and we can zoom in, I believe. Half of an inch. Move it here. Alright, so 1/2 of an inch. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there. And so I have 1/2 of an inch here. 1/2 of an inch there. And now I'm just going to connect those together. So I'm going to put my pencil there, line up the ruler, and then adjust the bottom part of my ruler so that the lines connect. So from here to there, I have a fin. When I turn it around, you can see it looks like that, and it matches up with this right here. So now I'm going to make the other side, the other fin, pretty much the same thing, just opposite facing. So I'm going to get my camera here, measure 3 inches in height on the side here. I can see it's 1, 2, 3. I don't need to draw a line because I'm going to use the edge of my paper as my line, so I'm just making a mark at the 3-inch mark. And so there's my 3-inch mark right there from going down. And now at this spot right here, once again, I'm going to measure 1/2 of an inch in. Draw my line. I take my right away. So that's 1/2 of an inch in there, 1/2 of an inch in there, and I'm going to take the point from there to there, connect it. Remember to use that straight edge. So I line up my pencil, and now I can draw the line like that. So we now have both fins completed. And finally, we are going to do the air scoop. And so this involves some fractions that you may want to use that make an inch sheet. So when I see 3/8 of an inch, that is going to be equivalent to 6/16. And when I see 1/8 of an inch, that is going to be 2/16. And so I'm going to remember that the tick marks on my ruler Each one is 1/16, so I'm going to just count the number of tick marks that is equivalent with the fractions we're working with here. So looking at the bottom edge here, this is going to be the corner part of my paper. And I'm going to measure in 6/16 of an inch. So I'll do that part right now. From the bottom part of my paper here, I'm going to measure 6/16 of an inch. And so I can count the number of tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here is 3/8 of an inch, or 6/16, and I just made a mark. And at this spot here now, you can see the height is 3 inches. You can see it over there. So I'm going to measure 3 inches in height. So I got 3 inches. This is a dotted line. So there's my 3-inch line right there. It's dotted. So then looking, we can zoom in. Looking here then, there's a little measurement that I'm going to go over right there, and it is 2/16 of an inch. So from what we just did here, I'm going to zoom in. You can see from this point, I'm going to count these tick marks. So 1, 2, and that's the length of the line that I'm going to do, just simply right there. Very short little line. And now from that edge here to the corner of the paper, I'm going to use my ruler to draw that line. It looks like that. So far I have the right part of the air scoop here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And so you'll notice the thickness of the air scoop, once we have it folded, is going to be 3 inches. So I'm going to measure 3 inches at the bottom and 3 inches at the top for this line here. So from here to there is 3 inches. I'm going to make a mark. Same thing at the top. From here to there, it's 3 inches, and this is a solid line. And so now I can connect what I just drew to the marking I had down below here. And again, this should be 3 inches. And I'm going to now do the same thing on this side that I did over here. So right down here was 6/16 of an inch. I'm going to do the same thing. So I count the tick marks and just count 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make a mark. And the same thing over here. This was 2/16 of an inch. I'm doing the same thing over there. So 2/16 of an inch. Boom, boom. Just a short little guy. And then I can connect it from there, going down, and there is my air scoop. And this actually should have been dotted, not a solid line, so I can erase part of it there, because I will be folding that. So, in the end, this is what it looks like. Hopefully you're able to follow along, pause it, and rewind if you needed to.